So the very first thing that we're going to talk about is there's 9 basic positions. Now, of course, there's many more than this, but these are just the 9 that we want you guys to understand to be able to flow from one to the next and transition rather easily, okay? So this is more of a pedagogical device to get you guys to understand the basic positions. There's many more positions, but these are the basics, okay? The first one is head and arm. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to grab him right under the elbow, locking in his elbow, and pulling it to my body hard. I want him breathing out like that, okay? Next thing I'm going to do is pull his head up. Now what you'll notice is this arm is at a 90-degree angle, roughly. This arm's at a 90 degree, my knee is going to be at a 90 degree, and this will be at a 90 degree once I get the position. Once I have it, I'm going to levitate my hips just about a ½ inch up. Okay? So I lock here, pull him to me, 90 degrees. Pull him to me, 90 degrees. These are 90 and I lift up. This is what I want. I want to be having him bear my weight. It's rather hard, huh? It's heavy. Okay? So this is position 1. Now what I have to be careful of is when I have it, I don't want to be leaning too far this way. Because if I do that and he bridges, go ahead, I'm gone. Okay? So I have to be careful of that. The other thing is I don't want my head too far back because he can kick his leg up. No. Kick your leg over my head. This way. Pull me back and back up. Or the other thing he can do is what he was doing before. If I'm up too much like this and I don't have anything to stop here, he just does a sit up. Now I'm in trouble. So you're going to have to play with this live to get that sense of control. But you just want to be able to hold it. That's position 1, head and arm. Position 2, I lace under, my arms come under. And if you come around, you'll see what I do with my arms here. Come around here.
Jake, just explain. When you say lace under, you're changing the angle of your hip.
Of my hips, right. So my hips are facing up. I'm going to basically sit through, under, backwards, so now my hips are facing down. As I do that, I continue rotating my hips, trying to keep my hips and my shoulders in alignment. Now look, I'm going to shove his face and pin his bicep here. And I'm going to continue rolling and pin his face with my hip and change the arm here. So I continue pinning. Now the benefit of this is he's bearing my weight. If he were to bridge up, go ahead and bridge up, I'm on his face, not his chest. See, I'm pinning his head. The other benefit is if his arm is straight, straighten your arm out, and I do this, the arm starts bending, which sets it up for the double wrist lock, or if he's here and I grind down, it sets it up for the double wrist lock. Okay? The other thing is, if he were to start to bridge, go ahead and bridge, he does that, I can reach and go for the toe. Okay? So this is position 2. Position 3, from cross body, I'm going to pivot on my hip on his face. I come here to north-south. Again, my knees aren't on the ground. I'm not being gentle on him. He's bearing all my weight. He's having a hard time. He's being very patient. This is painful. So I'm here, driving into him, making sure he's carrying the weight. So this is position 3, north-south. Now, position 4, I come around for 180, and I do a shin ride. Now that's painful for him. If you come around here and you look at his face when I do it, it's painful because my shins are on the femorals, or as I go down, it hurts even more. So I'm here, just riding. Now the benefit of this is my toes, if you come behind me and look at my toes, they're just right here. If I need to, I can just stand up again. The other thing is if you were to bridge or roll, my knees are right here. So I have that control. But meanwhile, come back down. Everything that I have is on the mat. The only thing touching the toes in any of these positions are my toes. Anything touching the mat, is my toes. So all my weight's always on the man except my toes, and those help me with my mobility. The next one is what they like to call, jiu-jitsu people like to call their guard. But we prefer to call it a Saturday night ride, or there's a million other names. But we like to think of this as a dominant position for us. So I want to stay on top. Okay? So this is Saturday night ride for me. Now the main point here is I don't want to be down here. He's going to try to pull me forward, which is his strategy, which is a good one for him. So he wants to pull me forward because when I do, my hands, I have to post on them and such. I don't have them as weapons. So my rule of thumb is, if I'm up and postured here, I need to maintain 3 in or 3 out. And that's 1, my head, 2, my left arm, and 3, my right arm. So I don't want to have 2, like just have the arm in because it'll take the arm bar. Yeah, exactly. Or if I have 2, so I have 1 in, now I have 2, he takes a triangle. But if I have 3, it makes it much more difficult for him, or 3 out. So just remember that, okay? Now go ahead and flip over. So I could flip him over very easily here. We'll talk about that later. That's not the point. This is the next position. So we go from Saturday night ride to cross body with a cross face. So whenever I take my cross body position with my opponent face down, I want to put on the cross face. I want to turn his head. This is the most important thing. I'm going to take the blade of my wrist, cross his face, and grab at the elbow here. Once I do that, I'm already set up for submissions here or whatever, so it's important to just start from this position. It's also good for turning him over for pins as well. Okay? So crossbody, crossface. I move to the last position. If you come around this way maybe, and that's rear north-south. I let the head go, and I put his head, the skull, right here in the breadbasket. And I sprawl sort of, so I'm pinning him down with it. Okay? Then the last position, with the man down, we do a reverse shin ride. As I bring my weight back, don't do it yet, but he'll do a push-up as I bring my weight back. Not every time, but a lot of times the natural reaction is when the weight's off, he's going to try to take a defensive or quarter position. When he does that, I'm going to take my right leg, the leg on the far side, and hop off and snatch his left ankle by pivoting on my left knee, okay? So when he, go ahead and come on up. As he comes up, I hop off, scoop the ankle with this, and sit down on it, and sit here. Now look at my balance. I'm not like in on this feet, my feet aren't crossed. I'm as square as I can get with my weight sitting right back. I'm not leaning into him, taking the weight off. My weight is on that ankle. We call this, come around here. This is called a ball and chain ride. There's a million names, but what we call is a ball and chain, because if Alex would try to pull his foot out, he can't. It's a ball and chain. It's hooked. Okay? So in the submission from here is I just... Say again?
Can I cut in a second?
Yeah, please.
Because that was a perfect example. When Jake gets a submission here, and he's talking about just controlling the ankle, and he let go of the thigh, and Alex dropped his hip and tried to turn his foot. But if you just hold that thigh, he can't do that.
Right.
He can't hold his ankle, his hip or anything. So now, the only thing that's going to move is the toe when you grab it. There you go.
And that's just a nice little submission for you, but it's also a good way to ride this guy. You're controlling his leg and you're by sitting on it here, but you have to make sure you have good balance. Don't be sitting sloppy or keeping the weight off, because now he'll pull your leg out. He just sits through, and I lost a dominant position. So, the last position besides the ball and chain that we're going to talk about is what's called the side ride. Now look, the important points are, I'm not up on him at this angle. This would be a different type of, we'll show you a ride where you ride in line with your opponent. But for a side ride, my weight is up on his hips. So he's carrying all my weight in his legs. This leg is out, so if he were to try to sit through this way, he can't. If he tried to gun the other way, I've got it. I've got decent control here. Now I could set up a variety of submissions from here, but this is a side ride. I'm sideways on his hips with one leg in. Okay? The last ride that we would do would be, I'm up here, and I cross my ankles like this. I'm trying to keep my knee up here and ride on him. Now what'll happen is I'll put my arms in my way forward and stretch him out and break him down. Right? And from here I could take Nelsons or whatever, but at least I'm controlling him. I'm pinching my knees together like Thigh Master to control him. Okay, so those are the basic 10 positions that we're going to run. Why don't you lay down, Alex, and I'll just move through them real quick. So that's it. Thank you, Alex. How'd that feel?
Oh, uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's rough
Very
being underneath.
Yeah.
Anything else to add on the experience underneath?
Can't get my breath. When I think I've got a chance to move, I get an elbow in the face or a hip bone in the eye, something like that. It's just totally disgusting.
So what we're trying to do, there's two things here. When we do this as a drill, we go through, you master the positions first, then you do it as a flow drill to get your maneuvering around. It's good for him because it's stress inoculation. He's getting all of that, learning how to toughen up. But I'm also learning how to move and transition efficiently.
What happens is you're wearing your opponent out if you're on top riding like Jake was. That's called riding. But the thing is here is that sooner or later the guy underneath is going to say to himself, I'm not going to stay here anymore. He's going to explode. When he does, he has to let an arm free and leg free and ankle free. His head will move, and then you're in position, you're going to get it for the submission. So it's like being a terrier, just you keep on snapping at the ankles, until he turns on you, you get the throw, just as an explanation. You know, you never rush this type of riding. You make it as uncomfortable for him as you can, you know what I mean? Yeah. And if you're hurting him while you're doing it, all the better. That's what a wrestler means. That's good. So now, the thing is, okay, don't cross your feet that way. What you want to do is, that's it. But also, if you can't cross your feet, you're not in the, just hook his ankle with this leg.
With this leg?
That's it. Good.
I see.
Now squeeze your knees in. There you go. And get straight on it. There you go. Okay, come back. Now when he pushes up, cross your ankle.
So now cross him this way?
Now, yeah. Okay, now what that is that when he collapsed, you may have gone too far up his body.
I see.
You understand? So now what you would do is look underneath the armpits.
Here?
Both armpits. And push yourself back a little. There you go.
Oh, I see.
Now you're in position.
Now I break him.
Yeah, now, okay. There, what you would do here is reach over his head here, grab the wrist, and with both hands. Okay, now, don't take it this way. Bring it to me, because this is his weakest position here. And arch at the same time. There you go.
I see. Wonderful.
You understand about that, the angle there?
Yeah, so you take him to the weakest angle?
Yeah. The side is strong. Here he's strong. Here, you've got no muscles that support the in-between position. So when you're attacking, you try to work the arm to that position.